What's going on, guys? Welcome to Pure Evil MMA, episode number 120 and a half, or episode number 121, I guess we can call it here. I got a great episode set up for you guys today, but really quick before we get into anything, let me just preview what you guys are in for today. So, obviously it's Tuesday, so big announcement. It's Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series going down tonight, and it's a very big week for the Contender Series fans out there because there's a lot of anticipation behind Antonina Shevchenko. Valentina Shevchenko's older sister. A lot of people think it's her little sister, and they're wrong. It's actually her older sister, and I've watched her develop over the last couple of years, and I've been always wondering in the back of my head somewhere if she was going to, try her luck in MMA. And tonight she has a big chance, so I'm going to be talking about that, what you guys can expect, how her last fight went, and, a little bit about Valentina, because Valentina shared some funny information with me about how she feels when she's in her sister's corner. Also on today's show, we have Brandon Marotte from CES. He's just coming off a win, moving to 2-0, and he's going to be calling in at 120. So right now, if you guys are listening to the podcast and you didn't catch the live stream, that's all right. You can always jump over to the YouTube page and subscribe there. Make sure you press that notification button because YouTube's not going to tell you when I upload new videos. And I have uploaded a lot of new content lately. I'm trying to aim to do more live streaming for you guys. I see a lot of comments on Twitter, Instagram, and on some of the YouTube content that I drop here, saying, you guys want more live content. So I'm going to be trying to do this every Tuesday, where I'm going to round up all the latest MMA news. But there's also a lot of other projects that I'm working on as well within Pure Evil MMA. So I just released my first highlight clip of Crystal Bear Lawson, who has an upcoming fight for a Lion fight going down in the Grand Prix in Paris, which is really exciting for her. So check that out. I used really one of my favorite songs by Kevin Gates, if you guys are into that, South hardcore rap kind of style where, you can just crank it and just feel like you own the city driving through it. So I thought it did a lot of justice to get people excited about Crystal Lawson's upcoming fight. She has a great chance here to be a big face inside the Lion fight community. Of course, you got Jarina Barz there. Antonina Shevchenko is also the champion over there. So, I want to start today's show off not with Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, because that's just a gimme. And if you guys want to see a complete rundown on that, me and Nolan King actually did a great preview show, previewing the entire season, what you guys can expect, some of the new changes that have happened between Season 1 and now going into Season 2 here, some of the bigger stars. And this week, we're going to see a big star. But let's rewind a little bit for the beginning of the week. There was some news about Rashad Evans, unfortunately, retiring. And there's a lot of people out there that expected this to happen sooner or later. So I wanted to start today's show off doing him a little justice and talk about, some of my favorite moments of seeing Rashad Evans in there and, why he's been such a huge staple in the UFC. And he's been in the game for, 12, 13 years now. So I think we owe him a thanks and a second to just reflect on his career. I think I remember the first time I ever noticed Rashad was on Season 2 of The Ultimate Fighter. I talk about this all the time. Season 1 was such a huge hit here in the United States. Everyone was talking about it. My math teacher was talking about it in the morning. I mean, reality shows in the early 2000s were huge. If you guys are younger and, reality shows are a little different now than what they used to be when we were kids. I mean, I remember sitting down watching Survivor. Like, that was a huge thing in the early 2000s, and Ultimate Fighter gave us a taste of something that we haven't seen before in a sport that was something that we haven't seen before either, and how these guys were reacting. We're also learning about it. Like, 16 fighters are entering a house, and they didn't even know they were going to be fighting. I mean, the entire season just built up perfectly where there was some drama, and we saw this with later reality shows like the Jersey Shore, where, the first season of the Jersey Shore wasn't a big hit until some drama unfolded where Snooki got hit in the bar and the boys stood up for her. Not until that moment people were talking about were their highlights, and, Season 1 was full of drama, if you guys remember that. And, with Ultimate Fighter coming to a close, to think about some of the fighters that it's bred, Rashad Evans, Season 2, I mean, remember his finale fight, man. He wasn't doing that good at the beginning of the fight. He got rocked, but then he was able to come back. And it seemed like that's been a long-running story for Rashad Evans. The first round, it's usually hard for him to get, into his groove. And we did see that, midway into his career, especially Season 10 of Ultimate Fighter, where he just had that swagger about him, that confidence. And slowly through time, as you know, he got through some of these landmark fights where it's like he's defeating guys that he didn't expect to beat at all. And he's even said when he won the belt, he was like, I don't feel any different. So let's reflect on some of those fights that he's had. Like I said, Tough 2 versus Zoon. He was the big underdog. And like I said, he got rocked a couple of times in that fight, and the reality came to him when he got his hand raised at the end. When he started going into the UFC, I mean, he's beat people like Chael Sonnen at UFC 167, where he just laid out ground and pound. He ground and pound Tito Ortiz at one point in his career. UFC 145 with John Bones. Jones, you know, they were both training at the same camp. Jones was the younger breed at the time, and Rashad Evans felt real betrayed by his team. You know, it really made him feel some type of way, and this was kind of an awkward turning point for Rashad Evans, the way that I saw it. It seems like Rashad was never the same. I think that this fight helped him grow as a fighter mentally and kind of get a better grip on what this game's really all about, but I think it also hurt him very deeply, and I don't think he ever really came back from that and feeling like he could really trust anyone. And that's something that he has to say, but he's talked about it plenty. He's opened up about, you know, how he felt during that time. It was a very big deal, and obviously he didn't win that fight. He was winning the first round, second round, but then John Bones Jones just kicked it up a notch and was able to just, you know, lay it on Rashad and give him a beat. I mean, it wasn't that bad of a fight, but Rashad Evans did not get his hand raised that night. It actually went to John Bones Jones, who went on to be an amazing fighter. So if you're Rashad Evans, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. John Jones is an amazing athlete and an amazing fighter. He's proved it time and time again. And you also have to keep in mind, maybe he wasn't doing the right thing at the time. So maybe he had that advantage, if you want to call it an advantage. Also, let's look back at his career going up against Chuck Liddell when he landed that overhand right. I'll never forget my friends talking about that. It was a moment that was you were almost struck in disbelief. It was a moment where Chuck Liddell did not seem like the kind of guy where he was going to get knocked out by somebody like Rashad Evans. And Rashad Evans stepping in there. Let me see what the live chat's got going on in here. All right, we got the live chat up in here. Let me get this in the frame for everybody really quick. All right, Henry Ford checking in the chat room. You know what? These girls are driving me nuts. Let me fix this real quick for y'all. Girls, girls, girls. Girls, girls, girls. Down, 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 down. Girls, girls, girls. Down, 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 down. Girls, girls, girls. All right, so now the girls are gone. And when I say girls, I mean the rats, if you guys aren't familiar. So Henry Ford checking in, saying, we're live. Rashad faced the beast. Eddie, you write for My MMA News. Yes, I write for MyMMAnews.com. I'm a journalist for them. I'm a correspondent. I'd like to say I'm more of a correspondent than a journalist, where I go out and I interview, you know, the professional fighters, amateur fighters. I do these live chats for you guys, kind of give my take with some of the other MMA journalists. I've been doing this for about 4 years now. Just to give a little background about myself, this is obviously a live Q&A here, a live chat that I'm doing here. So if you guys have any questions, shoot. But getting into it, man, I just started a new podcast with UFC's James McSweeney, and very close with Rashad Evans. Matter of fact, you know, great segue there. He actually helped corner Rashad Evans for the Forrest Griffin fight. So we are releasing our podcast every Monday night, so you guys can expect that. Obviously not yesterday, but next Monday. We just released our very first episode. We don't even have a name for it yet. So we are actually doing a giveaway. If you can come up with a name and we pick your name, you win the tee. When we got our first tees, you're going to get the very first one. If you want us to sign it, we'll sign it. I mean, if you want me to sign it, I don't know why. I'd rather have James sign it. Shit. I mean, he's the superstar here. But yeah, we released episode 1, so you guys can check that out. That's not on this YouTube channel. It's on our a brand new YouTube channel. And it's under James McSweeney versus Evil Eddie right now. That's the name of it. And we're going to be releasing a name by next Monday. So get your suggestions in as soon as possible on Twitter, evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. Or on James' Instagram. And I'm going to have him weigh in on his thoughts on Rashad Evans, because he was on Rashad's team for Ultimate Fighter Season 10. A big season, which is another good segue here. Season 10 of Ultimate Fighter, I think that's what Rashad may be most known for from people at home. Season 10 was one of the biggest seasons of the Ultimate Fighter. And, you know, we had a lot of stars come out of that, like Brendan Schaub, Justin Wren, Roy Nelson, Matt Mitrione, obviously James McSweeney. James McSweeney even made it on Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, believe it or not, James McSweeney was on Beavis and Butthead. Matter of fact, let me play that for you guys really quick. And while I get that, let me tell you this. We're going to be on Spotify as well, guys. So that is coming in the next 48 hours. I just got my email this morning, so I'm very excited about that. All right, let me go back. Why am I in collections? What is this? What is this bullshit? All right, let me get the videos. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, James McSweeney, I'm about to pull up the clip. He was on, I was dying laughing at this clip because back in the day, it used to be in the Dave and Buster's ring. And you can hear Butthead going, eat, play, drink. Check this out. This is hilarious.
Fight. Follow me. Are they actually at Dave and Buster's? No. I think, like, if you knock someone out on top of that Dave and Buster's logo, you get, like, free cheese sticks or something. I can never tell what they're yelling. Yeah, I don't even know how these guys are supposed to hear any of this. Just sounds like... Drink, play. Right in the nads. This guy's like, okay, now your body is telling you something's wrong. That's the bag, okay? Oh, they're all worried about this dude? Is your foot okay? Did you break your toe on its schlong?
Wes, deep breaths. Deep breaths. Breathe through your nose, out your mouth.
So yeah, I actually shared that clip on my Instagram page if you want to go check that out. So yeah, check out our show coming on this Monday. We're doing it every other week. But yeah, season 10 was such a huge season, man. Rashad had such a swagger back then. Checking in the voice in the chat room. The podcast with you and James was good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Did you see the Chael versus Rogan Shaw beef? You know what? I did. Actually, I did catch a little bit of that. I actually listened to Chael's podcast. What can I say about this? I haven't heard all sides of the story, so I really don't want to give my entire take. What I've heard, basically, and I gotta stop saying Chael's son is a little ticked off about some of the comments that Rogan and Schaub have made about Kobe Covington, and kind of reflects on Chael's career. I even remember when they were making comments on Chael's, stage or cage interview in his last fight after the Vanderlei fight. I mean, they were kind of ragging on him, and they're really close. And you've heard Rogan say plenty of times in the past, he's always been, whatever beef that you guys think is going on here with Eddie and us getting weird about conspiracy theories or young Jamie yelling at Eddie, it's never really real. But you know what? Here you can definitely tell that Chael feels some type of way about some of the comments that I've made, and he's pretty cocky with things that he says. And you got to remember, this is the business side of things. You see this a lot with YouTubers where they start beefs with one another. You see it a lot with the new rap kids on SoundCloud starting beef, doing Instagram lives and stuff like that. And it helps boost numbers, helps people talk about it. Look at 6ix9ine, YouTube. Look at what just happened this week with not VidCon, but it was called like that girl. What the hell? The blonde girl. Shane Dawson was a part of it. Shout out to Shane Dawson. Huge influencer here in my YouTube career. Damn, I can't remember the name of it, but they do these gigs where they even have people date people inside the scene. Like, say for instance, I was managed by somebody, and to boost my career, you go to somebody like Jessie B. Hill from the MMA Holes, and say for instance she has 100,000 followers. Now I start dating Jessie B. Hill. We do these little segues together. We do these little compilations with one another, these little cute things, and we pretend like we're dating when in reality we're not. It's really just to boost your profile. It's really to boost, where you are at in the scene. And there's even been conspiracy theories about Tom Cruise doing shit like this, where he's had wives before in the past. They've all been a part of his life for 5 years. You can look up all these conspiracy theories. It's very interesting when you look deep into it and how the numbers really add up, and you're kind of left there being like, whoa. And you look at the bigger picture with Scientology, and no bash on any of that. I just think it's really interesting hearing some of these inside stories of what could be happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what's kind of going on here with Brendan Schaub and Chael Sonnen, because you got to remember, they're all really close friends. They're all on one another's show. We even heard Chael Sonnen before on Schaub's show going, man, what were the numbers like last time I was on here? I love that. And I would not be surprised if it was something like that. But of course, you're going to feel some type of way if somebody says a comment about you. I even get, everyone feels some type of way when they get constructive criticism, or they say something that, goes against what you really believe in. So, maybe I'll look a little bit further into that. But what do you guys think about that? Let me know on Twitter, and maybe you can send me some links to catch up on some of that news. But that's just my take there. But let's get back into Rashad Evans before we move forward here with today's show, because we got somebody calling in just a minute here. Rashad Evans, though, 2008, UFC 92 versus Forrest Griffin, another amazing moment for him. Let me know what your favorite moment of Rashad Evans was on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA, and also on Twitter at Evil_Echo. And we just want to wish Rashad a good career from here on out. I mean, with ESPN coming into play, I'm a little worried with what some of these guys are doing. I said it about Michael Bisping. I was worried. Hey, Brendan, hold on 1 second, Brendan. I was a little worried what Michael Bisping was going to be doing after this ESPN deal came into play, because you have FS1. Are they going to bring on Karen Bryant? Are they going to be bringing on Rashad Evans? So we don't know about that, but I do hope Rashad Evans has a great career. Brandon, thanks for calling in to Pure Evil MMA, man. I know that you're coming fresh off this win for CES, guys. We have Brendan Marotte joining us. Before we get into your fight, we're just talking about Rashad Evans. Do you have any, what's your favorite Rashad Evans memory?
Man, just the overall take on it, it's, it kind of sucks that he's retiring, because the guy was a legend in himself. But I think it was either 4 or 5 losses in a row, and he says he can't hide it no more. So it just kind of sucks to see a guy go down like that, but we all have our time, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, he's had such an amazing career throughout, the 13 years that he's been a part of the sport, between Ultimate Fighter, Season 2. We're even seeing that come to a close, and it's kind of sad. It's like we're really seeing an end of an era right now. But, you never know what happens, because MMA retirement you can really take with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah, I mean, a ton of guys retire, and next thing you know, a year, 2 years, even 3 years down the road, they're like, hey, I'm back.
Yeah, we just saw this with Brad Pickett.
Yeah. Oh, he's coming back?
Yeah, Brad Pickett's going to be coming back for ACB, guys. That was just announced last week. We announced it on the James McSweeney podcast. But, Brandon, let's get into your fight, man. I mean, you came in here 1-0 with one knockout to your name, and you went in there, you got it done against Arslan Aktachev, man. And that dude's a tough son of a bee, man, coming out of Henzo's gym. It's like a Russian kid. I mean, he was making his pro debut. He's from my area, too. He trains 10 minutes away from me. What did you think going into that fight? What were you expecting to happen?
Going into the fight, I knew he was a tough guy. I'd seen a lot of footage of his fights before. He's got a mean overhand right, and if he gets a hold of your neck, he's going to submit you. I've seen him put guys up standing on the feet and put guys submitting him right when he even hit the ground. So we didn't really want to go to the ground with it. I was a little, really wanted to keep it on the feet, so our game plan was just really go in there and just kind of touch up and tag with them. Don't do nothing crazy, nothing risky, because you can see from a lot of other fights too, you throw body kicks and he'll grab them on guys and he'll just put you right down. So, we're really respecting the submission game we had, and we just followed our game plan. Went in there, coaches had me do what I do, and we just kept it standing, knew that we would get the finish eventually.
So it came to you in the first round, 4 minutes and 47 seconds. You're fighting at featherweight, man. I mean, it was a really exciting fight. Walk us through that first round. Walk us through up to that knockout. What was going through your mind? How did that fight play out? Because it seemed like a really tough fight. I mean, you was putting up one hell of a fight before that finish game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no, he definitely was. That kid is a gamer all day. and it's hard to take him out. Really, just going into that fight from the beginning of that bell, I just had in my mind to just follow the game plan, stay calm, don't throw anything crazy, and just honestly try to just pick him apart in the feet and really respect his takedowns, because if he gets me down, I'm in his world now. So that was really just the plan, and I unleashed a couple of flurries on him, and he's just a tough kid. I thought I was going to have, I think at least 2 or 3 just unloads on him, and he just took them all. I was really shocked. He's a really, really tough kid. The only thing the fight was really good. He is a good guy. He had some nice leg kicks. He clipped me with a nice overhand right. So, I gotta respect that. I kind of just kept my hands up a little more, played the range, but he definitely is a really, really tough kid. I was shocked that the first or second exchange did not get him down. And then got to the last exchange, started throwing those uppercuts, and I was throwing them earlier in the fight. They were working, but not too much. Switched up to his body, and once I hit his body, I could tell he was finished. He started to drop down, 2 knees to the head, and he was done.
So what did that feel like once that moment came?
Finishing him, it was great. It's always awesome when the ref gets to step in on a fight when it's him pulling you off another guy, because we're all fighters. We love to be in there, but we also love to have the ref stop the fight because we're giving it to some guy,
And just to set the scene where we were at this point at CES 50, I mean, I was ringside for this, man, and every single fight leading up to this all finished, within the first, or none of them went to decision. You had the first fight ending in the third, second fight ending in the first, third in the first, and then yours in the first. It wasn't until the 4th fight of the night where it went to decision. There were only 2 decisions on the card. So were you able to catch the rest of CES 50, and what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I got to see a couple of the fights while I was in the back room. They got a TV back there. But first, second, third, fourth, they're all killer fights. And, after the fight, I may have missed a couple. But then I always stick around and watch the fight. It's a great card. It was awesome. CES always puts on a great show.
Well, let me ask you, what did you think about that main event? I mean, Andre Ewell, I've spoken to both of these guys in the last week to get both their take on, their performance. And you have Andre Ewell, man, who came all the way over here from California to fight a hometown favorite. You had people going crazy in the crowd. What did you think of that main event?
Yeah, obviously I'm a huge Dennis Piper fan. He's great. Train with him. It was an upset. I think Dennis is definitely the better fighter all around. And but he's just honestly, he's a big 135er too. I was shocked about how tall he was. But nothing but respect for both of those guys. They both went in there. They both worked their asses off, and they put it all on the line. It's just this fight game. One moment everything's going great, and then the next, you could get caught. But hats off for both of those guys. They're both absolute savages.
Yeah, hats off to CES all around. I mean, it was a great show. I mean, immediately when I walked in, there's Nick Newell with all of his guys. You're walking around. There's a bunch of Henzo's guys walking around. There's everyone from the fight card. I mean, you see, it's like a Chris O'Brien was like, it's like a family reunion when you go to these CES events. You see like Matt Bassett. You see all the guys who have come through the scene and have made it, and then you see the up and comers. It's just a really exciting vibe at these CES events.
Yeah, I definitely think they put on one of the best shows around, and it's true, like you said. I feel like everybody from everywhere just comes to the CES shows. It is kind of like a reunion. Everyone's just there because you got guys all over the country. I feel like every single show, there's just dudes everywhere. And you got guys that were champions before, guys that are in UFC, and they're still coming back to watch the shows, the new up-and-comers. And it's just like an all-around good show. It's a good vibe going throughout the whole thing.
So we got a question from Henry Ford in the chat room. He says, ask him who is a fighter that he likes. You have an answer for him?
A fighter as in what? Like local scene, UFC?
I think he's talking about UFC most likely.
UFC most likely? Yeah, I got a ton of fighters I like and look up to. Obviously, is the big notorious one, Conor McGregor. Been a fan of his since day one. Cowboy Cerrone, he's a savage.
Perfect segue right there. You love Cowboy. What were your thoughts on this week so I can kind of segue into, what happened this weekend? Let's get a fighter's perspective on Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, out of his last 5 fights, he's only won one of those 5 fights. We've never seen this before in his entire career. He's never gone consecutively on a losing streak. What was your take on this loss, and how do you feel about it?
I mean, I didn't get to catch that last fight, but I saw a lot of the interviews and all the media days for them leading up to and everything. And it's rough. It's rough. Just like the whole Rashad thing. It sucks to watch an amazing, legend in the sport go from what they were doing and then start taking losses. It's just an awful thing. Regardless of anything, even his last losses, I don't think it takes anything away from Cowboy. He's an absolute killer in there, and he really is like the people's champ. He always goes in to put on a show and just make the crowd happy, do what he does. So hats off for that guy for beating him, because even though Cowboys lost, you said he's only won 1 out of 5, he's still not an easy dude to put down. So,
and you know what, the big I guess the big jab at him really is that his last 2 fights are against guys that he probably should be beaten. But, Darren Till definitely proved himself with going against Wonder Boy and, Leon Edwards, in case people aren't familiar. He's beaten Sabata, he's beaten Bam Bam, he's even beaten Vincente Luque, who is also another tough son of a bee, and Tumanov. I mean, he just hasn't had the promotion behind him. That's why people aren't very familiar with who Leon Edwards is.
No, that's cool, because I really wasn't familiar with him either. But like you said, having the UFC promotion, when they make you one of their guys, it definitely helps with getting your name out there. They'll push you twice as fast.
So, Brandon, I was checking out your Instagram, and I was going to bring our viewers over there. What are some of the things that you're posting? I see that your girlfriend is into something. What does your girlfriend do exactly?
Yeah, she's actually my fiance. She does bikini competitions.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, she does bikini competitions, and she works as a model, too, so... She's just, it's great to have someone like her around, because we're both just very into what we do. We're very fit, so it's really cool. We kind of feed off of each other and just keep each other going. But yeah, she does bikini competitions and she models, so she'll be at the top soon. She's working hard for it.
So that's pretty cool. You guys are like a power couple chasing towards your dreams. That's always the most successful couples that you're going to see. Before we let you go here, man, what can we expect next from you?
Yeah, next, man, we're just we're trying to get a fast turnaround. We're want to get on the next fight card as soon as possible, and the same thing. Honestly, I'm going in there, and I'm just trying to finish dudes, viciously finish dudes. You got a lot of these guys running around. They're doing like these crazy, flashy stuff. I'm just trying to get in there, put on the show for the crowd, get everyone going, and just finish guys as viciously and as quickly as possible.
Well, we're looking forward to what happens next with you. Guys, make sure to follow Brandon on Instagram. Brandon, what is your Instagram tag?
It is Brendan.Marat.
All right, I'm going to link that down below for everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Now, if you have any sponsors, anything at all that you'd like to get out on the table, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, I just want to obviously say is shout out to my team, Star BJ Day, New Hampshire, Team PMA, my coaches, and our Lord and Savior, man. Give it up.
I represent that, man. Thank you so much, man. God bless, and we wish you best of skill.
Absolutely, man. God bless. Have a great day.
So there you guys go. Brandon Marat going 2-0 over at CES over here on the New England side of the country. So let's move forward here, guys. There's been a lot of rumors going around lately. But before we get in any rumors like Khabib versus Conor, before we talk about Kevin Lee versus GSP, before we talk about anything else, let's talk about tonight's Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Amen, says Henry Ford. So I'm going to pull you guys into tonight's matchups. We got headlined by Antonina La Pantera Shevchenko going up against a very tough opponent that's not very well known. But me and Nolan kind of broke into her background, man. She's 7-3. Jamie Navaria. It looks like she's a submission girl. And that's dangerous. When I think about a Muay Thai fighter, the one thing that worries me the most is them fighting a submission girl or a grappler. We saw this happen with Jarina Bars when Jarina Bars tried to make her big crossover. And I don't think Antonina really had a say in this. And this kind of shows me, and you guys might have a different opinion on it and let me know, this kind of shows me that the UFC is not trying to make anyone an easy matchup. Everyone has a tough opponent in front of them. Everyone is deserving of UFC contract. Another thing that worries me, though, here, I know I'm kind of starting this off on a negative note, but I was at Antonina's last fight. And I love Antonina. I love Valentina. But here's the thing, and I said this in my last stream, and I said this in the Nolan interview. This worries me a lot, and you can look at this two different ways. You can look at it as maybe she was playing it safe because the opportunity at hand with being on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series is a pretty big deal. Here's my thing. If she goes in tonight the way that she did when I saw her at Lion Fight 42 about 8 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, about 8 weeks ago, I don't know if she's going to go home with a contract, man. And Dana White just handed out 4 contracts in his last week of the Contender Series. Week number 1, he gave out 2. And another thing, man, is that what do you do with these guys that are 1-0? I mean, you sign them to the UFC, but what are they going to do? I'd never ever want to see another 0-1 fighter on a pay-per-view card. I know that he's somewhat of a draw, but this is not the path I want the UFC to follow. I can see them doing like maybe like an intermission kind of thing where at the beginning of the night during the prelims or to start the night off, you have, to kind of pack the seats early and to start things off hot. Because, MMA, the first punch, it could be as good as the first punch in the main event. You never know what you're going to get at an MMA event, especially at this high level. But, with guys who are like 1-0, put them at the beginning of the prelim card, like your Hardys, because I don't really see them doing anything like, oh, go to LFA and win 2 fights. Oh, go to Titan FC. They're already doing that. They're coming up from Titan. They want their shot in the UFC. That's the reason of being on the Contender Series, isn't it? So I'm interested to see what UFC works out. But with Antonina, man, she's 5-0 right now inside MMA. So she does have a little footwork underneath her. She's training with the best in the world, like Valentina, her little sister, and Coach Pavel, Rose Namajunas. I mean, they're training with the best in the world. So I'm hoping that Antonina does a great job. I mean, when I saw Antonina for the first time, she knocked her opponent out of the ring. The girl fell backwards out of the ring, TKO. Not just like slipped. She got knocked out of the ring. You guys can go back and watch it. I've shared it on my Instagram. She's a scary girl, man. She gets in the zone. And Valentina, when she's in the corner of her sister, she's even told me, like, I've interviewed her after her first fight. I've talked to her a couple times. And she always says, I get more nervous when my sister fights than when I fight. And her last fight, and I highlighted this, you guys can go to my Instagram at Pure Evil MMA, and I put it on my highlight thing for Lion Fight 42. Valentina Shevchenko is the best girl to have in your corner because she's going to get every ounce of sweat off you. She's out there waving. She, at the end of the fight, runs into the crowd, grabs a flag, drapes it around her sister. I mean, and then you just hear, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. Like, it was just such a good vibe, man. So I'm hoping that we can relive something like that tonight. Everyone's got to be at the edge of their seat for this one. Everyone, especially for Lion Fight, is going to be tuning in for this. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be so nervous. And this is what worries me, though, is that if she had that same performance that I saw at Lion Fight 42, even though she won every round, it wasn't anything. You need a finish on the Contender Series, in my opinion. I do not think you're going to get a contract if you don't go ham. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat room. The Shevchenko sisters, fire. This is the only fight I was interested in. Did you watch it? And it's going to be going down tonight, the Shevchenko fight. Where's the donation tab? Unfortunately, I do not have donation tab yet. I have to get on that. And I think you have to have a certain amount of subscribers. But what you guys can do is order some merch if you would like. I got mugs. I even got stickers for $4. I mean, that's freaking couch change. That's up at teespring.com/pureevilmma merch. You guys want that? Let me get a little hydrated here. Let me down that can of Red Bull real quick. But like I said, I really believe that you need to get a finish if you're going to be on the Contender Series, especially with the oversaturation that we saw last week. I'm sure Mick Maynard, and I doubt they were like, yeah, they're going to hand out contracts. It's fine. I mean, we've seen them lay off a bunch of fighters. So you're telling me you're going to let guys like Rory McDonald go, Gegard Mousasi go, but you want guys who are 1-0? I don't get that at all. maybe you guys have a reason for it, but you know, I think they're going to get stuck with all these contenders if they're not careful here. So we can only see what happens as it goes on. But how many contracts can you really give out? And I asked Nolan King this. I was like, and if you guys have the answer, please let me know. Does Dana have to give out a contract? That's something I don't know. It's something that hasn't happened yet. He's always given out at least one contract. And even last week, giving out 4 contracts and leaving one guy back there, man, that's awkward. That's really awkward. We even seen Chris Curtis go in there, have an amazing finish, knock the dude out with like a crazy hook kick, and didn't get the contract. And it upset him so much that he actually retired. And I don't know if it was just out of frustration. I mean, he did talk about it before, but it's just hard to see, man, because you got a lot of these guys putting a lot on the line. They're putting it all. You see it when they go on the Ultimate Fighter. If they don't win, if they lose in the preliminary rounds, they think it's all over for them. And it's frustrating when you know what these guys go through, the weight cutting, the sacrifices that they're making for their families, not really building a future. I mean, even guys like Cowboy Cerrone can't retire and feel comfortable. He's always going to have to do something else. He's not going to be able, like, and it's just so sad. Look at Showtime Pettis. His entire career has been amazing. And I doubt that right now, if he had the choice to retire today, I doubt he would be able to. It's just very sad in this scene. So we got a lot of these guys putting it all out there. Even when I was talking to Matt Bessette, man, Matt Bessette was on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series on Season 1. And he had a very tough opponent against Kurt Hallbrook. So Matt Bessette lost the fight. Now, I've watched Matt Bessette climb the ladder, climb the ranks. I've seen him at Lion fight when he's sitting in the crowd. Not many people know who he is. The guys on Media Road obviously know who he is. He comes in the ring. He's a nice guy, very nice guy. Made a lot of sacrifices. Has been waiting by the phone, he said, every day for the past 4 years, waiting for that call. And he got it last year for Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Go out there. And he said if he didn't get that call, he was going to retire. He got the call, goes out there, and loses. But God had a plan. I know that's phony, but God had a plan, man. He's in the UFC now. And he's one of the most exciting fighters that you can look at in this division. So it's just crazy how things work out. So even if you don't get a win, maybe you can somehow squeeze your way into the UFC by being on the Contender Series, which is kind of cool. It's a great opportunity for a lot of these guys. And if there's fans out there that want to see the fighters, most likely the UFC is going to give them that chance because the UFC wants to make money. It's a money machine. So if you guys got someone like Nick Newell, he goes in there and does some magic, I'm sure the UFC will sign him because he's bringing in people. Like, it boggles my mind why people wouldn't want to see somebody like that. It's so inspiring. And when I spoke with Nick Newell last year, me and Ted Check had him on. He had a movie in the making done by the guys who did 12 Cloverfield Lane. They're making a documentary on him. And if you remember the way that Nick Newell's career ended, he lost the fight against Justin Gaethje, and it was very upsetting for him, and he stepped away from the cage. He started opening up his own gym and started, raising some of the locals here. I mean, his gym's 10 minutes down the road from me. Such an inspiring story, but I didn't want it to end there. It's almost like Ronda's story. Like, it feels like it shouldn't end with 2 TKOs. We'll find out what happens. I doubt she'll come back. But Nick Newell, man, 1 loss against Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje made it into the UFC. Most exciting fighter people seen in the last 10 years. I think that was reassuring for Nick Newell to come back in, give this another shot, and he did against Luke LFA. He got the win in Nick Newell fashion. Now he's going to be on week 6 of the Contender Series. What about that story isn't exciting? I mean, imagine if he goes in there, gets the win, and gets the UFC contract. That's a great ending. Imagine the ending of that movie being Nick Newell looking his opponent down on the other side of the octagon under these dim lights. He's sitting there with his head down, his arm, 1 glove, and you hear Bruce Buffer calling his name. That's fucking inspiration right there. That's inspiration. There's no other story that is going to get kids going through the same situation that he's in, that he's had to grow up with. Imagine having one arm, one hand, growing up as a kid. How you just feel like you didn't fit in. And he said his mom has been such a huge help for him. It's such an inspirational story. And when you see guys like this, and going into Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, they have it all on the line. It's nerve-wracking, man. And that's an aspect I love about Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series brings that to the table this season, where you're going to be at the edge of your seat, because a lot of these guys are putting a lot in there for this one fight, their time to shine, their 15 minutes of fame, their Eminem, lose yourself in the moment. You only get one shot. This shit's real. You know, I was just talking with Diego yesterday. It's like, you know, if there's one thing I could go back and change, it would be not taking fights on short notice, trying to be the hero. You know, you listen to all these people that are bashing you, doubting you, and you want to show them. But if you don't feel 100%, you don't feel confident about going in there, there's something wrong, like what was going on with Cowboy. You need to pull out. You need to trust that gut instinct. This is your moment to shine, especially in your pro career. So this season, Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series brings a lot of these guys to the table, like Hardy, and now we had Antonina Shevchenko coming in tonight. This is going down in just a couple of hours. These girls are there right now, getting ready, waiting to go, backstage, warming up. I can only imagine what the vibe is like. I'm sure Valentina is very nervous. This is going to be the main event. Let's look at some of the other cards, some of the other fighters here. I believe that's Julian Erosa down there going up against Emmers in the second fight of the night. You also got Rebello going in there against Pearson. And you know what? I believe Pearson's taking this fight on short notice. Behind me here, we got Greg Rebello's photo. What do you guys got saying in the chat room? Let me see. Henry Ford checking in. Contender Series is so-so. And if you feel that way, that's fine, man, because last season I was feeling the same way. And I tuned in the first couple of weeks. You learn a little bit more about some of these fighters that are coming on. And this season's bringing some of those bigger names that have some build behind them. Contender Series is good for Nick Newell to see if he can prove it. 100% agree with that. I'm pulling for Nick. I am too, man. Back now, boy, that was a heavy shit. It made me bleed a little. Thanks, Henry. Eddie, where's Ted been on Wednesdays? I don't know what's been going on with Ted. He's he has 2 kids that do lacrosse during the summer. He's usually really busy. Wednesday night's a very busy night on YouTube as well. So I believe he was saying that he wanted to change things. So we'll figure out what's going on with Ted soon enough. We'll do the show ASAP. But guys, the Contender Series is going down tonight. I'll be live tweeting for that. Let me know who you guys are pulling for on Twitter at evil_echo and on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA. We have a lot more fighters to come this season. Eddie, that's a troll account. I can't even tell the difference, bro. Honestly, I really can't. They're both Henry Ford to me. Back now, boy. Okay, I can see the darker image on the other end. You guys are shocked. This is what you guys do? This is your life? I love it. It's hilarious. All right, but let's get back into the show, guys. Khabib Nurmagomedov going up against Conor McGregor. That has been some of the other news that has been circling as of late right now. Here's the thing. Conor McGregor, we're a year removed almost from Maymac. It's almost been a year. I mean, this summer's flown by so quick. It doesn't feel like it's been a year since we saw that fight. It seems about 6-7 months ago maybe, but not 12. I don't know. Are you guys on that same level as I am there? Because if we're looking even further back, UFC 205 over here. Move the camera for y'all. UFC 205 there. You guys can see almost 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago. Conor needs to get back in the octagon. You got so many people out there giving him a hard time about it. And I wasn't. Now's the time you gotta come back, man. You know, I gave him the credit because he did go in there. We all watched the Mayweather-McGregor fight. Don't lie. We all wanted to know the outcome. Even if you didn't have $100 to dish out, you wanted to know the outcome. My banker wanted to know the outcome. My ice cream man, you guys heard this before. That was huge for our sport. Conor needs to come back. It's been a slow 2018. Do you guys agree? There hasn't been a big blockbuster name event. Name the biggest event this year. 3 seconds, go. 1, 2, 223. What, UFC 223 maybe? What was the biggest card so far this year? Justin Gaethje? Nothing really pops. You know, when you think of 2017, there was a lot of great fights, but a lot of people are going to remember Mayweather-McGregor. That's what a lot of people are going to come up with. UFC 217, Henry Ford ranking in. That was a great one. You also had... what other good cards did we have so far this year? There was a bunch of them, huh? I'm drawing a bunch of blanks right now. Jesus. Wow. Oh, and if you guys didn't know, Greg Hardy also got injured. Yeah, let's rewind really quick. Greg Hardy gets the contract 1-0, and then ends up going to play arena football, and now he's injured. But the UFC did not see that come. That's got to piss the UFC brass off in a major way. But Khabib vs. Conor, that fight has to happen soon. Who else can Conor fight right now? There was the rumor of GSP. I would love to see that fight. But Kevin Lee's calling for that fight at 165 pounds. Now, you might be saying there's no 165-pound division. Well, Kevin Lee opened up about this. He was talking about it. He was like, the jumps between the weight classes in between there is just ridiculous. You have 3 belts within 2 divisions. Why not open up the 165-pound division? Here's the thing, though. With Conor McGregor, I want to see Conor return at 155 pounds. What he did against Eddie Alvarez. When I was watching Conor McGregor's entire career, there were very few times that I doubted him. The Eddie Alvarez fight was the one time I really did not think he was going to go in there and be able to beat a bulldog like Eddie Alvarez. But he went in there and put on one of the best performances ever at the perfect time in his career, debuting at Madison Square Garden. My freaking mom watched that. There were so many people talking about that moment. You had MMA getting legalized in New York. It was huge. And that fight couldn't have gone any perfect. So I kind of see why Conor wanted to put some distance and time in between that, because he had a quick bounce back after the Aldo fight. And that's something I spoke about during that time. I felt like the same thing with Ronda Rousey. After she beat Bethe Correia, I felt like she bounced back too quick to fight Holly Holm. We see this backfire sometimes where you're riding the crest of your wave, and then you got all these side distractions going on, but you're so confident. You're surrounded by yes men. I know that's thrown out there a lot, but it's true. It feeds into your ego when you're winning nonstop and you're getting appraised nonstop. People, other organizations, NBA, NFL, pop stars like Drake, coming reaching out to you, asking to be in your music videos, asking to be in movies. It's a big deal. It's going to sidetrack anyone. And we've seen this backfire a lot. We saw it happen with Ronda. And we saw it happen with Conor McGregor when he took that short notice fight, when he was supposed to fight RDA, and then took a short notice fight on 14 days notice to fight Nate Diaz. And it backfired on him. Bethe Correia is a 10, ranking in the chat room by the fake Henry Ford. The Bethe Correia dance is my favorite gif, probably one of my favorite gifs of all time in the MMA circuit, without a doubt. But you know what, guys? Honestly, it's been too long. Conor has to return. The Khabib fight sounds like the perfect fight because there's a little doubt in myself that says this is a very even fight. This is a close matchup. I'm a little upset that we didn't get to see Tony Ferguson versus Khabib. I feel real left out there. I feel kind of left out because Al Iaquinta took the fight on short notice. But then again, Edson Barboza, that fight with Khabib was brutal, but to back that up, Kevin Lee did the same thing. So it kind of takes a little away from it a little bit. Do you guys kind of agree with me there? When you see somebody get dominated for the first time, but then you see it happen again the same exact way, it sucks the wind out of it. For me, at least. I don't know. But Conor McGregor, I think he could win this fight if they do match it up. And I can't wait to break it down with some of the other MMA journalists. But there has been no big event so far this year, so this is the way the UFC has to go. You got Khabib's management saying that this is what they want. I think I even got Oh, you guys are in luck. My phone did not die. Let me pull up what Khabib recently said about all of this. And this came out today, or last night, as a matter of fact. Oh, don't die on me, baby. 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 She died. But Khabib came out and says, Conor needs to make this fight happen. They're trying to get it, through negotiation. There hasn't been an agreement yet, but it seems like Khabib's on board. It seems like Conor's on board. Let's not forget, Conor wanted Khabib in Russia. Now, I don't think that fight's going to happen in Russia. I think there's a lot of other places they can do it. Chat room saying October, November, McGregor versus Khabib, September. I think that's what Khabib said. I think somewhere around September. Also, Scott Coker coming out today saying, Lyoto Machida. Listen, I had Elias Theodorou on last week. I had a great headline from Elias. He started calling out Lyoto the Dragon. So I was like, oh, the Dragon versus the Spartan. This is perfect. This is the perfect ladder for Elias to climb up and get a big name fight. 48 hours later, boom, big bombshell, headline drops. Lyoto Machida leaves UFC and signs with Bellator. This came out of nowhere. Nowhere. No one saw this coming at all. Well, Scott Coker today says that they're aiming for this fall for Lyoto Machida to have his debut with Bellator. My quick thought on that, leaving with a bang, huh? I think that Vitor Belfort fight that he had leaving was perfect. The way that he ended that, because now he's on a 2-fight win streak. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk Lyoto would come back and win 2 fights in a row? Like, I'm very happy for him. And I think leaving Bellator is kind of maybe relieving on the stressor level, but the reality is it's no easier over at Bellator. And I spoke about this yesterday. You heard Big John McCarthy talk about this as well. Really quick. Justin Gaethje, when I interviewed him, let me just pull this interview up for you guys, matter of fact. Boom, boom, boom. Just give me 1 second here. This is on my YouTube channel. I interviewed Justin about 3 years ago now. And I asked him the same question. I want to know his take on where he thought some of the best talents were. I actually want to know if he was interested in going to the UFC. So let me get this up. One second. My computer a little slow, but we're getting there. I thought it was really interesting what he had to say about this, because now you're seeing a lot of people. Here it is. Come on, play. Play, bitch. You actually want to switch sides with me? This is my bad side. Let me know when you're ready. What's going on, fight fans? I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, and I'm here with Justin Gaethje. And what's going on in your life right now? You're the champion. You're undefeated. What's coming next for you?
Oh, no, not quite sure yet. I had a quick fight last time, so I wish it was a little longer, or I got to fight a little quicker after that. But World Series of Fighting they've always treated me well, so I trust them to make the best decision for my career. And the next thing is either Jason High or Ozzy Dugabalagolov.
And I'm pretty sure tonight Jason was calling you out. He's talking about Jason High. Also, a lot of companies have been talking about you lately. Now that you're champion and everything, have you been thinking about moving up at all, or staying here for a while? And
what's moving up in MMA? I mean, to me, moving up is making a paycheck, and right now, World Series trusts me the most, and they're paying me more than any other company would have or will pay me right now. So I love where I'm at. I don't care. Well, I mean, moving up. I'm at the top right now. I feel like I'm the best in the world. Yeah, I mean, the promotion is not the UFC, but all the best fighters are not in the UFC, and all the people getting paid the most are not in the UFC.
And tonight with your buddy Copeland, that was such a close fight. Did you? Bam! From the horse's mouth. There you go, guys. Justin Gaethje with his take on where some of the best talent is in the world, and we saw this at PFL last week on Thursday. PFL had an amazing card. My take on that, Jason High was just brought in to that conversation with Justin. Going out the way that he did, I was so mad. I was watching this at the bar. I was probably the only person in there watching. And they had a DJ going. Like, there was a good vibe going. And I was so nervous when Jason got out there. And he didn't tap. I don't know if you guys watched PFL too, but he did not tap. And then he flipped out. But the way he flipped out shows that he didn't really grow much, since he got, in case you guys don't know, Jason High got kicked out of the UFC for doing something very similar to throwing and having an attitude inside the cage and putting his hands on somebody. And we saw him kind of put his hands on the referee, kind of like shrugged the referee off of him. Really upset with the decision. I was too, but that is not the right way to react to it. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat room. Lyoto is fighting Rafael Lyoto. Lyoto can fight Derek Brunson's teammate. John Saltner, legendary. Iceland versus Croatia football. I like being dominated. Where are you guys coming up with this shit? But yeah, guys, not mad at Lyoto Machida going over to Bellator. Not mad one bit. I think this is actually a pretty good decision, but he is going to learn that. It's not the easiest route to take, but it is a smart idea. If you don't think that you're going to be able to hold the UFC title ever again, if you think that there's more up-and-coming guys, and we've been seeing that transition this year. We've been seeing that for sure. You're seeing these young up-and-comers take out the older guys. We just saw it with Rashad Evans going up against Anthony Lionheart-Smith. I mean, Rashad Evans, a former champion, looked like he did not belong inside the octagon at all. It's hard to watch sometimes, but it's the way the sport works. And honestly, Lyoto, man, he's on a 2-fight streak. Take it while it's hot. Like you just heard Justin say, what's moving up in MMA? Moving up is a paycheck. That's a great point. It's a really good point that he made. Lyoto versus Chael. Lyoto can fight anyone, anytime. Bellator will put the time and investment into him to make him the star that, UFC used to put into him. Bellator is going to give him that. At least that's what he's hoping for. That's what Gegard's been hoping for. That's what Rory's been hoping for. That's what Matt Mitrione hoping for. Roy Nelson. Benson Henderson, who you can see right behind me above the skeleton. Boom. He lost in his debut fight. I was there. Royce Gracie. We see these guys, they do get respect from Scott Coker. I do like what Scott Coker's doing over there. I think there is some improvements that they definitely need to work on. But that time is coming. I think PFL did a really good job kind of playing with some, not just the rules, the no elbow thing, but they also were able to stream the entire event on Facebook Live for everybody that didn't have MSNBC. Genius. You know how many more people saw it just because they put it on Facebook? I'm sure it doubled. Because if you think about it, you see these pay-per-view numbers that come out. You got to remember, it's 2020 almost. There are so many legal streams out there. I'd actually be surprised if the numbers weren't 10 times the amount or 5 times the amount of what the pay-per-view buys are. Not even the people who buy the pay-per-views are guilty of doing this from time to time. There's way too many pay-per-view cards out there, and I think that hurts the UFC. But Bellator's issue is the airing. Being on Spike TV, it's an entertainment business. They want to stick with that. They're not going to really represent as a sport, which is kind of why the UFC went to FS1 and eventually found its way to ESPN, where they're going to be taken care of as an actual sport. And it's going to help UFC grow. I spoke about this in yesterday's podcast. But Bellator has some growth to go. but they're building a roster. And once you build that roster, things will slowly fall into place. I definitely think that they're coming from behind. They're definitely a few spaces ahead than where they were 2 years ago, let alone 5 years ago. They used to have nobody besides, Rampage, Tito Ortiz, Hoist, Shamrock, you know what I mean, Kimbo, eventually. Bellator definitely built a great roster, and they're treating the fighters the way they want to be treated. And the fighters that are coming over from the UFC to Bellator are going to be able to help mold Bellator into the structure that they've always wanted, and the comfort that they had at UFC, they're going to bring it to Bellator. We've heard a lot of these guys talk about that. Exactly. They want more structure behind the scenes and stuff like that. And if they speak up, they're going to get it. And if they can, fill the seats, which they have been, it's just going to help grow the sport. And I definitely think they do a great job putting on these live performances. I was recently at Bellator 194, I believe it was. Matt Mitrione versus Roy Nelson. They did such an amazing job bringing in, the drop-in cage, just the live event atmosphere that they bring. It's the adult version of, going to the WWE as a kid. It brought back that same emotion. And if you think about these young kids that are out there going with their families to see MMA in this day and age, I mean, you used to go see baseball and football or whatnot. Now they're going to see MMA. Like, it's awesome. I love it. I love this time that we're living in right now. It's very exciting. And I love putting it all into play. I love trying to make sense of it all with you guys. So before I let you go, there's one last thing I want to talk about. It is the new show that I'm doing with James McSweeney every other Monday, guys. And it's not on this YouTube channel. I think a lot of people are confused about that. It's on a different YouTube channel. I'll put the link down below here on the video and in the podcast description below. You can search at James McSweeney versus Evil Eddie on YouTube. But it is still on the Pure Evil MMA podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Podomatic, Stitcher, and now on Spotify. In the next 48 hours, or by the time you probably see this or listen to this podcast, it will be up on Spotify. And that's huge for me because Spotify is a great platform for Android users, as you Droid heads know, because you don't have iTunes and you don't want to download an app. I understand that you don't want to download an app to listen to one podcast or two podcasts. Why not listen to it on Spotify, where you can listen to all your favorite artists? Like right now, my favorite artist to listen to, once again, I mean, I've been listening to the same artist forever. Between the Buried in Me, The Used, Bury Your Dead, As I Lay Dying, Emure, With Honor, Old School AFI, I've been listening to a lot of that. I just made a highlight video for the first time, as a matter of fact, guys, that you should check out. It's right down here below. I did it for Crystal Lawson, who has her upcoming fight. I did Kevin Gates, Really, Really. I've been, feeling that summer vibe, man. So I'm always tweeting out what I'm listening to on my Twitter page, so make sure you follow me on there at Evil_Echo. That's EVIL_ECCO, and also on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I don't know why not. I'm always releasing dope-ass videos, trying to bring out as much content as I can. And now I'm going to be doing these live videos every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. And I want to thank Brendan Moreau for joining us here today as our first Tuesday. What should we name it? It's got to be something Tuesdays. They got Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. We got to do Tenacious Tuesday or something like that, we'll call it. Or just round up all the weekly news. You guys have the open chat room here. Let's say Lyoto versus Labov. I wouldn't mind. The fight couldn't happen because Labov is tiny. But Henry Ford, that's fucking hilarious. Guys, thank you for tuning in live. I'm going to be doing this on Tuesdays. I don't think a lot of people knew about that. I'm trying to find a good time. 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time is a great time. For me, it works out perfect on a Tuesday. Monday, there's too much going on Mondays with, Ariel's show. And I gave my take on Ariel's show with Chael and Luke Thomas becoming the new guy for the MMA Hour. I gave that take on yesterday's show. You guys can check that down below or on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, and released all my new content at mymmanews.com, obviously, where you guys can get other media guys like Damon Martin puts in content with us. James Lynch puts in content with us. Shout out to Mike Pendleton. There's a lot of great guys that My MMA News has recently brought on board, and I am so honored to be a part of this team. My goal here is to just be the best podcast that I can give you. This is my life. This is my goal. Throughout my life, everything I've always done, it's felt about 80% right, but never 100% right. And when I look back and see like how my future's unraveled between, in like my first interview when I was 7 years old with Stone Cold, or how I was part of, sports my entire life, like taking karate, just all these little things, radio, going to school for sociology and psychology in college, EMT school. I mean, all these things, the way they just, I never felt 100%, but the way that they all work out and I put it into one big picture, this is my destiny. This is what I was meant to do. And I'm glad whoever's subscribed to the channel right now, thank you so much as you watch me evolve over the last couple of years here on this channel. Going back to my first video, Jesus, I won't even watch that, man. I mean, we used to have Angie Jabs on back in the day. My boy Matt, who walked out on me in our first episode. I think that's still up there. You know what? Big shout out to Matt, because without Matt, I probably wouldn't be as fired up as I was in the beginning, because after that argument that we had, he would first off, all right, let me throw it back. We got into an argument because I was, kind of ragging on Rampage, and Rampage blocked me, matter of fact. I don't know if it's because of that, but, I was giving some trash on Rampage. Not trash, but I was like, Rampage belongs at Bellator. I don't think he can compete in UFC and become, a champ again. And he freaked out. He left. He left the video, went home. I was just there, baffled, still recording. I think that video is still up if you go all the way back to like 2015. But, then, a couple weeks later, we went to a Bellator event, and he brought like 3 of his friends, and I brought my girlfriend at the time. And he was just being so weird. And I remember in my head, like, I just started this podcast. I'm trying to get interviews going. I'm going to broadcasting school. I was trying to get the ball rolling. And I kept being very positive. And I'm a very positive person. When I think of something, I'm going to do the best I can to achieve it. Believe, achieve. I really believe in the secret. I just remember I was just, I'm going to be front row one day. I'm going to be down there with all those guys. I'll be on Media Row. I'll be interviewing these guys. And I'll never, they pissed me off so much. Never forget him and his friends laughing about it. And I just saw, like, this is the guy I want to do the show with? No. If he does not see my vision here, if he doesn't think that this dream's small enough to achieve, it's not the craziest thing to think of or do. If you have such a closed mind to that, how am I supposed to work with you? And I just remember, leaving that night and just kind of putting it all into play, and it just fired me up, man. Fired me up, man. My whole life, everyone has their story, but I remember being a kid and an adult telling me my dream was to be in the NFL. I was an amazing football player. I was on the high school football team. I was captain of the defense. I was a middle linebacker. I was amazing on baseball and the all-star teams. I remember telling an adult that it was my dream to be in the NFL, and I remember them laughing and telling me that I should figure something else out because it's very hard to achieve NFL. And it's true, it is very hard. But if you believe in something and you put all you can into it, and you really believe that you can get it, and you make the right steps, I mean, things fall into place. When you vision something, they fall into place. I'm so blessed to look back from 2014, 15. I'm going on 2019 now. All the fighters I've interviewed, and I was at CES 2 weeks ago. I'm sitting there getting set up to cover the event, and behind me I hear somebody coming up behind me. There's everyone talking, setting up, and there's no one in there with tickets. It's just media and the fighters. And I'm setting the computer up, and I hear, if it isn't the man himself. And I turn, I made eye contact with this guy, and he was talking to me. You know who this guy was? He was the main event of CS. It was Denise Piva. And something in me, I was just like, that's fucking awesome. That these fighters can look to media and not feel like we're out to bash them. And feel a connection, want to be on the show. When a fighter loses a fight, you don't see them come on a show. Denise came on the show 2 days after he lost his fight, showing respect. I mean, I'm just honored to be where I am today, to do these interviews with these fighters, to be backstage, to be talking with some of the people. I don't want to name drop because it sounds just ridiculous, but I just feel so blessed, and I'm so happy at this moment in my life, and I want to thank everybody that tunes in and supports Pure Evil MMA. It means the world to me. And if you guys have heard my story before in the past, and some of the things I've been through, like losing my girlfriend, surviving opiate addiction, being years clean now, I mean, life is just so good. I'm just so happy. And I wake up every morning so inspired and excited about what the day's going to bring. I'm able to be creative. I love it, man. It's such a thrill every day. It's like a never-ending ride. And I'm so happy for anybody that tunes in, is enjoying it, and giving me their input. Because together, in this scene, it is such a tight women's scene. You got to remember that MMA was developed in the MMA underground, on these MMA forums. The fighters show their respect, but there's been a lot of mistreatment along the way. There's been a lot of media that has done the wrong things, downplayed promotions, bashing fighters, harmed our sport. I'm not here for that. And I know a lot of other guys I talk to are not here for that. Guys like Nolan King. There's guys out there that have fun with it, like the MMA holes. They have a blast. It's a place where, even the trolls can go and have a good time and not feel hated upon that much. They kind of feel like they can just be free. I even go on there and troll a little bit. Screw it. Show your tits. Fuck it. We all want to let loose, right? That's why we love this sport. We want that freedom. We have all these attachments to our lives. Our boss lurking over our shoulder. If you're younger, your parents, or wake up in the morning, you have a dog, step in dog shit. There's things that tick us off. Sometimes we want to unleash. YouTube chat room, boom. Give that outlet to them. Bam. There's that platform. Gotta respect that. I love where MMA is right now, this era. I talked about it yesterday on yesterday's podcast. I brought back to 1961 in baseball. That era, how magical that time was. I feel that in 2018 in the MMA scene. And we got some more action going on tonight with Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. We got Antonina Shevchenko. This is a girl that I've watched develop in the past few years. When you have been following the sport for a while and you see these guys, these up-and-comers, do these big things. We got the chat room going sick. Let me go over here. See these fighters doing these big things. It's so exciting. You get to the edge of your seat. And I think Dana White Tuesday Contender Series is going to bring to the table, get more MMA fans out there that want to go see more local events. That's a big thing that can use some hype. And I think the Contender Series is perfect for that. So the chat room going. Get Ted back on. Right on, Eddie. Like me and my mommy. More interviews on live stream. I know that you guys are enjoying that, so thank you so much. Henry Ford. Yeah, the fake Henry Ford. Yeah, I've had enough of you, but... oh, shit. The real Henry Ford saying, Eddie, check out James Pergoni gardening channel. Alright, I will, if you're bored. The fake. You guys are killing me. Said the fake Henry Ford. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you thought about, what I had to say today about Cowboy Cerrone, showing respect to Rashad Evans. What's your favorite Rashad Evans moment? Was it the Chuck Liddell knockout? Forrest Griffin? Was it going back to Tough 2? Was it Tough 10? What was? Let me know on Twitter, EvilHunter-Echo, and on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA. Also, guys, if you haven't known by now that I'm not on Facebook, I've been booted. Well, I got to make a new Facebook, unfortunately, so I'm going to try to get on that. But if you guys want to buy some merch, all you got to do is go to teespring.com. You can get your hands on some of this merch. You got Pure Evil MMA mugs. We got tees, sweaters, hoodies, whatever you want. We got it. And we're doing giveaways, guys. UFC Pick'em League. We had winners this week posted up on Twitter. Every time that there's an event, doing giveaways as well. If you get 10, we almost got to 10. As a matter of fact, somebody just got 5, and I just sent them a little something. Matter of fact, sent them a mug. So that should be coming in the next, I think the campaign's running for the next 2 weeks, so it should be coming within due time. Within the next 2 weeks, I'd say. Let me see, where did I leave off? All right, subscribe down below, guys. iTunes, Podbean, now available on Spotify. White Knuckles till the end. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, my MMAnews.com. I'll be live tweeting tonight for Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Behave yourselves.